Okay, good morning. First of all, it's great to start this class with all you guys. Hopefully we'll finish a lot of books together. If you see, he has a big introduction here. We're gonna, if you guys want to read it, it's worth it to read it, but I'm gonna skip it. I wrote my own introduction, just an idea before we start. Let's begin with the question that if you had the chance to ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu for anything in the world, what would you ask for? Now, most people would say, money, health, long life. When Shlomo HaMelech became king, he asked for something completely different. He asked HaKadosh Baruch Hu for wisdom, exactly. The ability to understand people, to make the right decisions, to guide his nation with clarity, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu granted it to him. From that wisdom comes Sefer Mishlei, the book that we're going to start reading. Hopefully we'll finish it, B'ezrat Hashem. Right, Jack? Like all the Masechtot you finish. And it's not just a book of clever ideas, clever sayings. It's basically the Torah's divine guidance on how to live a life of depth, of honesty, and of connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now, so what is exactly Mishlei? Mishlei is one of the books of the Ketuvim, the writings. Unlike the stories of the Bereshit or the Halachot of Vayikra, Mishlei is written in a different style. It's written in parable style. It's written with contrasts, with images, with a lot of analogies. And actually, most of the Sefer Musar are stemmed from Sefer Mishlei. So Sefer Musar are basically a book to work on yourself, to work on your midot. Most of the books stem from Mishlei itself. It talks about wisdom and foolishness, laziness, humility, arrogance, good and evil. But it doesn't tell you to be wise. It basically paints a picture in your head on how to be wise. Right? It doesn't just tell you be wise and do that. It'll teach you with analogies how to become wise. For example, later in the Sefer, Shlomo Melech says that what's a lazy person? Someone who turns on his bed like a door on its hinges. That's an example he gives. Meaning, a door moves back and forth, but it goes nowhere. Right? It stays by itself. The same thing that a lazy person makes himself look like he's busy, but really he's just turning from side to side. In reality, he's not accomplishing anything. That's really a lazy person. He makes himself look like he's making moves, but deep down, we both know he's not doing anything. That's really the brilliance of Mishlei. It takes basically the truths, the deep truth of the Torah, and makes it unforgettable that we should understand and learn it together. Now, what exactly is the purpose of Mishlei? Right at the first parak, Shlomo Melech tells us exactly why he wrote the Sefer, and I'm quoting the verse. He says, to know wisdom and discipline, to give insight to the simple, to the youth, knowledge and discernment. A wise man will hear and increase in learning. Notice something amazing here, that Mishlei is not only for beginners, it's really for everyone. Everyone on their own level, it's really for everyone. If you're simple and need direction, Mishlei speaks to you. If you're young and searching guidance, Mishlei guides you. And even if you are already wise, Mishlei can still help you grow. We know the concept. Ezeh chacham halomed mikol adam, who is wise, one who learns from everyone. People think that a person is great or not great. It doesn't matter who you are. Also the Gemara says, Kol mi shemaktin et atzmo al divrei Torah ba'olam hazeh, na'asa gadol ba'olam haba. Whoever lowers himself on account of Torah in this world will become great in the next world. Sometimes we think that, just because this person is great, is less than me, doesn't mean I should learn from him, but just the opposite. We have the ability to learn from every single person. Now, what exactly is the foundation of wisdom? Shlomo Melech brings down Yirat Hashem Reshit Chochmah, which means the fear of God, of Hashem, is the beginning of wisdom. But fools, and I'm quoting, fools despise wisdom and discipline. Right? When you tell a fool something, he's like, nah, he brushes it off. That makes him a fool because he doesn't want to listen to improve himself. This is the foundation. Before we talk about the cleverness of Mishlei, wisdom without Yirat Shamayim is really dangerous, because you have to stem your wisdom with the Yirat Shamayim. And that's why, if you realize in this world, many people have their messed up ideas because they take their cleverness and their wisdom that they get from the outside world and make their own path with that. You could see what's going on in the world. People are you're praising someone's death because they didn't align with his values. It's messed up. That just shows how when the world advertises something, you could advertise something so stupid, but as long as you put a lot of money into that advertisement, you could make a move. Now, Shlomo says first, he says, anchor yourself in Hashem, because like we said, wisdom without Yirat Shamayim is dangerous. Now, an interesting idea, imagine a skyscraper without a foundation. Even though it looks, massive and significant, without its foundation, the building will fall down. I don't know if you remember what happened in Florida with that building falling. The foundation was slowly, destroying, and then the whole building just fell down. It's the same thing with the neshama. A neshama without a foundation could lead nowhere, because you have to first have the roots, strong roots within yourself in order to get somewhere. Now, why does Mishlei really matter today? You can ask yourself, why do I need to learn Mishlei today? We live in a world with endless information, right? You could literally Google everything. You could AI everything. You could, we have podcasts. We have Rabbi Jack's share. You have all the information you need. But the truth is, information is not wisdom. We lack wisdom. We know how to build faster phones. We know how to build bigger buildings. We know how to build stronger weapons. But we do not know how to build. Do we know how to build a stronger character? Do we know how to master our desires, raise our children with integrity, live a life with an inner sense of peace? Or do we just know how to do external things that help us? What about our internal self? That's really what Mishlei gives us. Mishlei gives us, it's not information, it's more of a direction. It teaches us how to live with clarity, with the strength that we need, and with the values that our forefathers have instilled in us. That's really the idea. So, how do we apply Mishlei? Thousands of years ago, we realized that how generations slowly, we have something called Yeridat Hadorot. The more the generations go by, the more, I don't want to say messed up, but the more, perverted our society gets. And that's the idea. When we learn Mishlei, we bring back the teachings of Shlomo HaMelech to today. We try to live it today. So how should we approach this sefer? Since we're about to start, we should approach it with really three things. Openness. Let Mishlei challenge you, your ideas. Don't just brush off the lessons that it gives us. Number two is the humility. Even if we think we're wise, there's always more to learn. And number three is application. We shouldn't just read Mishlei. We should apply Mishlei and live it with our life. We take the pasuk, take the teaching, and bring it to your daily life. We'll see throughout the book, there's going to be a lot of different things that we could really apply to ourselves. So take it, trust me, take it, and live with it during that day. Mishlei is basically Hashem's manual for wise living. It teaches us that the beginning of wisdom, like we said, is Yirat Hashem. It warns us against the shortcuts of life. Today's world, everyone tries to do the shortcut. Everyone tries something instant. The whole idea of like a microwave back in the day was like a crazy chidush. You could heat up your food in 30 seconds. And all these inventions just made us much lazier. Everything has to be instant coffee, instant this, instant that. And then we as a person become much more, we want things very quickly. But the idea is really to take the wisdom and live with it. It warns us against the arrogance. It warns us against destructive choices within our life. And it promises us that if we live with this wisdom, we will find the concept of security and peace. And the final pasuk of the first parak goes like this: whoever listens to me will dwell securely and will be at ease from fear of harm. That is really the gift of Mishlei, not just to make us smarter, but to give us a life of clarity, safety, and inner peace. And B'ezrat Hashem, let's rock and roll. So I want to start with page 25. I'm going to go for another 5 minutes. So he has his own introduction here to Mishlei. Let's start with Chokhmah. Chokhmah really means wisdom, and he says the attainment of Chokhmah is a major goal. Rabbeinu Yonah, who's one of the Rishonim, defines it as knowing the right way of the righteous, truth and justice. According to the Meiri, which is another one of them, Chokhmah refers to perfection of the intellect. The Malbim, which Jack wanted to elaborate on, elaborates that Chokhmah implies the proper choice between two opposite courses of action, such as cruelty and compassion, arrogance and humility, brazenness and shame, eating and fasting, holiness and impurity. The correct choice would be called Chokhmah, and the opposite would be called sichlut, which is folly. For instance, as a rule, to act with humility is wise, whereas arrogance is foolish. But there are exceptions. For example, when dealing with the wicked, it is wise to display some arrogance. Chokhmah shows the person which which path to choose, how, when, how much to use each trait. Since man cannot deduce Chokhmah through his own intelligence, it follows the only way to attain is by studying Torah and the teachings of the sages. That's really the idea. The idea is that, you know, the Rambam brings us down. Each person is born with good traits and bad traits. Sometimes in order to get to the good trait, you have to go completely opposite and be completely good to, you know, get to the middle. That's the idea here. The idea here is really that you have to use your chokhmah to know when to apply X, Y, and Z to each situation. Now Musar, he brings the defining, depending on context, Musar is translated as discipline, ethical teaching or affliction. It is all or any of these. Musar also refers to the perfection of midot, character traits, which is inextricably linked to wisdom. For Musar cannot be attained without chokhmah. Right? Yet in order to understand self-discipline, you have to have some sort of chokhmah within you to have that discipline. Conversely, Rabbi Netanel and the Vilna Gaon comment that chokhmah without musar is repulsive to people, as the musar masters teach. Chokhmah without musar is like a tent without ropes, lacking stability and permanence. Malbim explains that musar is derived from the word yasar, to afflict, and is related to the verb aser, to bind. Since a person's natural tendencies are toward arrogance, jealousy, vengeance, cruelty, lust, passion, and the like, he must learn to afflict and restrict himself so that he remains bound to the dictates of chokhmah. One must have wisdom so that he will not be ensnared by the rationalizations of the evil inclination. This is something called mora heter. There's a very famous concept the Gemara brings it down multiple times. Mora heter means that someone, you know, mora heter is like a guy tells himself everyone does it so it's fine, or he says, oh, this is fine. So like I was learning with someone the other day. He told me, Rabbi, everyone cheats in business. It must be fine. I'm like, you have a completely, you know, messed up idea of business. Just because someone cheats doesn't mean it's fine. That's really the idea that everyone does this, so it's fine for me to do it. And you make yourself things in your brain how you make something that's asur mutar. And the Gemara brings down over there in Kiddushin in multiple places that the more you do it, the more you'll make that like it's fine. Moreh heter, which means you make it like it's completely fine, like it's not even avera. And it happens a lot. You'll go to somewhere, you know, you eat something that you think it's not as crazy as you think it is, and you'll, let's say, eat something, you say, oh, it's only sushi. I can eat NK for sushi. But what happens, you don't know how they make the sushi. They cut the knife with the same thing. They give you, you know, sometimes they put pig lard on it. You know the famous story with this guy went to a store, like, this fish is amazing. How'd you make it? He's like, we're known for this. He's like, why are you known for this? He's like, when we fry our fish, we fry it in pig fat. That's what gives it the flavor. So this guy thought he's eating kosher his whole life, and whatever. That's the idea. You know, that's called nasa like a heter. He makes that like a heter. It's just fish. What could be wrong? That's that. Bina is understanding. Refers to one's ability to deduce one thing from another. Right? Lehavin davar mitoch davar. Whereas chokhmah is knowledge from external sources. Bina flows from within. Right? We know women have a bina yetera. Women, for some reason, know better than us in everything. Your wife knows more about your life than you know about your life. And that's the concept of bina. As one analyzes and examines and plumbs the depths to bring forth hidden perceptions, a navon is a person who has bina. His wisdom is superior to that of a chacham. Right? Why is someone called a talmid chacham? Because in order for someone to be a chacham, he always has to be a talmid. He always has to learn. You have to have two things, talmid and chacham. Okay, that's that. We're going to skip the rest, and Bezrat Hashem, we will continue tomorrow from the beginning of Mishlei. Have a great day, guys.